to the other station.
Yeah, g'day, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike.
ZL2 Charlie, what was it?
Charlie Tango Mike. Charlie Tango Mike, over?
Over.
Yeah, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. Our name here is Charlie, transmitting QRP. Do you copy, over?
Okay, Charlie, yes, you're not very strong here, mate. Paul, how are you copying ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike? Paul, over. Okay. Yeah, are you copying Paul okay there, Charlie, over?
Yeah, he's down about an S1 here in Wellington. This is the first transmission on a small QRP rig, a little homebrew rig, using a little teensy microcontroller set up as a software-defined radio. So using the phasing technique. Just make sure I got your call sign. Is that ZL3 Sierra Victor, over?
Roger, and I've got your name correct, have I, as Charlie, over?
Yeah, QSL.
Okay, I think that was QSL. Your readability 4 to 5 and strength 9, my noise level is sitting about an 8. So that's what the whiz is there. It's self-inflicted, I know what it is here, but yeah, I would have thought it's QRP, which will also depend on your antenna and stuff like that there, Charlie. But yeah, good on you with that software-defined radio. And yeah, I've got one here. I've got an Apache Anon 100 watt D software-defined radio. It runs 100 watts, and but at the moment I'm using the Kenwood TS 480. I find I get good results on it, and it always works and does what I want to do, and so like that. Yeah, anyway, back over to you there, Paul, and what have you been doing at your way there? ZL1AJY and the group, ZL3SV. Okay, yeah, you go. Paul's just gone off the phone there, Charlie. Tell us what antenna and what power you're running over.
Yeah, ZL3 Sierra Victor, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. Yeah, the antenna here is a half-wave dipole, just a simple wire antenna. I'm here in one of the suburbs in Wellington, so unfortunately I can't get it overly high. It's a two-story house, and the antenna sitting about a metre. The centre of that is about a metre higher than the roof. So not perfectly ideal, but is about as good as I can get here in the QTH. The feed line is just twin flex running up into an ATU here into the homebrew radio. I would say I'm probably running just over about 2 watts. This is just a quick first transmission tonight, and then I'll start to move the project on to building up a more higher power RF amp. The idea is to hopefully get a sort of a good 20 watts plus, but this was just, I just couldn't resist the temptation of throwing an existing amplifier I had here on just to get on the air and then see how it went. But thanks very much for the readability, and I do apologise for sort of jumping in on your conversation with Paul, but you were coming through here a good strength 9, perfect signal, and I just want to sort of jump in and just get a radio check. But the radio itself is it's all homebrew. Did all the software coding for this little teensy, running, like I say, the phasing technique. The oscillator itself is an SI5351, which is providing the main oscillator down to a divide by 4, which is producing the quadrature clock signals, and the mixers themselves are NE612s. With the 2 inputs and the 2 outputs, so just using one for the transmit side and one for the receive side. And the amplifier itself is just a small push-pull amplifier with 4 BD139s, so 2 in parallel on each side, being fed by a single BD139 as a preamp, and then a 3904 as a pre-preamp on top of that. So all in all, yeah, quite a fun little project actually. good fun to sort of do a mixture of both hardware and software engineering, which I enjoy. But like I say, the plan now is to give it a bit more power. Anyway, I hope you're still copying the ZL3 Sierra Victor, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike.
ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, ZL3 Sierra Victor, roger there, Charlie. I'm just having a look on QRZ page, and man, that is impressive what you've done there. My God, you've been a busy lad. I take it those blue switches, looking further down, those blue switches you change over to change like between 40 and 80. Looks like you've got filters in there, and that switch is used to switch between them. Is that correct, over?
Yeah, Roger, that's correct. I just bring up my QRZ page because I think that one there is probably slightly out of date. So yeah, that rig there was the rig I had early on in the year. Just sort of looking at the picture there, so oh gosh, that was quite an interesting one, that one. So that was using a Homebrew crystal filter, which you can see up there in the middle top of the picture. And then feeding down into, in that particular case, they were Homebrew double balance mixers there that you can see on either side of the blue SI5351 oscillator there. Top left hand corner was a Homebrew high power amplifier, so that was putting out just under 25 watts, using a couple of MRF, what were they? They were 644s that a local ham here passed on to me, which was very nice of him. Since then I'm now onto the software defined radio, so I don't actually have any pictures of that up on the QRZ website, but if you were to look up my call sign on YouTube, you would see a series of videos which are sort of documenting the build for this one. And I just put up a video yesterday which was the latest iteration or the latest configuration of the radio, which is now in a transceiver. And since yesterday, like I say, I just put on this very quick power amplifier onto it just to get on the air. But it's very low power, not very many watts at all. But the plan is to rebuild the high power amplifier by just sort of reaching over now. I've got an old amplifier which came out of a commercial rig, which has some nice sort of high power RF transistors on it. So the plan is to sort of pull that apart, harvest those transistors, and then build up another amplifier. Because of the QTH and where my antenna is, I don't think I really want to try and run 100 watts, because I suspect I'll have quite a few problems with RF in the shack. So 20 watts for me would be about right. But anyway, that's what I get up to. Certainly enjoy the homebrew and playing around, and what I really enjoy is actually is the I guess the mathematics behind it, and actually trying to really understand how the circuit works, as opposed to sort of just either buying a kit or copying somebody else's work. I have no problem using other ideas, but I really do need to understand exactly how they work before I do so. But it's good, keeps me off the streets, and I certainly enjoy it. Anyway, back to you, ZL3 Sierra Victor, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike.
ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, ZL3SV, very interesting. Charlie, that would be a great educational tool, the way you've got that set out there, because you could take the circuit diagram and then you could explain what's happening, and you could actually see it in real life, how it all fits together and how it all looks, and that'd be absolutely brilliant to even make up a video, put it on YouTube, showing how it all works, because you've got it all laid out there. Yeah, that's pretty amazing actually. Fabulous tool for learning. And good on you for the projects, and okay on the components you've been using there too. Years and years ago when I was, well, this is a long time ago, because I've had my license for about 52 years, and back in about the early 70s, they brought out these power amplifiers, audio amplifiers, integrated circuits, quite big things, capable of 100 watts, and they were really designed for audio, but they would keep on going, and I had them running on 80 metres, and I was getting about 70 watts on 80 metres out of these things, and quite surprising how it all worked out. And then I tried a couple of push-pull, and that worked pretty good too. Yeah, it's amazing what you can do, isn't it? I'm actually running a linear amplifier at the moment. I've just been giving it a bit of a test. I'm running around about 900 watts at the moment on peak. And that's just idling along nicely, no dramas there. And I'm running to a big antenna. This antenna here is nearly 2,000 foot long.
Wow.
It's a centre-fed sloper. It's right up on the top of a hill, and I can use it on all bands from 471 kilohertz, which is the 600 metre band, right up to 6 metres. I've had it running on 6 metres,
Good Lord.
no problem. I don't know if it will go any higher. I don't think it would, because I think the balance, there's a 12-to-1 balance there. The 600 ohm open wire line goes up to the centre of the antenna, and that's fed with a balance, so it's 50 ohm to 600 ohm, so that's the setup this way. I do have a half-wave dipole as well, but I don't use that very often because this one works heaps better. I can go over to it. I'll just go over to it briefly. You can see the difference.
Oh gosh, it's way low.
Okay, now we're back again. So that's the half-wave dipole. Yep, that's all tuned up all right now. So yeah, anyway, put it back to you. I'll get away next over there, Charlie. Thanks for giving us a call. I'm really intrigued with your QRZ site there. That is really cool, and you've put a lot of hours of work into that, I can see. ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, ZL3 Sierra Victor.
Yeah, very quickly, where's your QTH, over?
What was that?
Whereabouts is your QTH, over?
I'm near Motueka, over.
Oh, Motueka. Roger, near Motueka. Hey, that's fantastic. Hey, I am filming this. Do you have any objections to me putting some of this up onto YouTube as a, I guess, a proof of a radio contact, over?
Sorry, do I have what on YouTube?
Do you have any objections to me putting some of this video clip onto YouTube? I just want to get your permission before I do so, over?
Yeah, I'm just missing a bit. You've come right to the noise level at the moment. Did you say, do I have the facilities to be able to put things on YouTube, over?
Negative. I was just saying I have recorded some of this video of this conversation, and I just want to get your permission to put it up onto YouTube, just as sort of a first contact with this rig. So I just want to run that past you before I do so, over?
Oh, absolutely, no problem at all. Yep, yeah, no, that's all sweet. And yeah, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, one of my companies used to put a lot of stuff up on YouTube, a lot of good documentaries and stuff like that. Local news, because one of our companies runs 8 digital TV channels in the Nelson region and about 19 radio stations across the top of the South Island.
Oh, wow.
So, deeply involved with the media. Yeah, no, that's all good, Charlie, no problem there. And yeah, so yeah, no, I look forward to seeing all that. But yeah, certainly looks very impressive. Alrighty, I better fly. Nice to have a chat. Thanks for calling in. ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike, ZL3 Sierra Victor.
ZL3 Sierra Victor, ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. Hey, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And you have a good evening, and we'll catch you up next time. ZL3 Charlie Tango Mike, 73s.
Yeah, did I get it? It's number 2, isn't it? ZL2 Charlie Tango Mike. That last over, you came up to 10 dB over 9.
Wow.
Clear as a bell, way above the noise level, no problem. And audio sounds good, Charlie, over.
Oh, Roger. Hey, thank you very, very much. That's great to hear. Thank you. You have a great night, and again, 73s, and thank you very much. ZL2 Charlie, Tango Mike out.
Yeah, Roger, I just got the little tail end of it. There, I just recorded, hold on. Oh, so no, they didn't come out because I didn't have the volumes all set right. You're a bit quick for me. But no, you're still 10 over 9. That's excellent. Okay, cheers, Charlie.
Roger Dodger, see ya. Thank you. Oh, well, that was very interesting. So, that's obviously the first radio contact with that, so that's really good. So just to, I might as well just do a quick rundown of what I did when I came home from work. So let me just do a bit of zooming up there, and I might just put this whole video up as a whole, so I apologise for me sort of rambling there on that. So so the output of the two bandpass filters through that small relay switch there, which is switching the filters between transmit and receive. So on transmit, it now goes through the black wire here, through the coax, through our power amplifier, and you would have heard the description of that on the video, back across through the low pass filter, across to the TR switch, or the relay changeover switch, which is then switching the relay, which is the yellow wire, between transmit and receive. And that's just being keyed using the 12 volts transmit, 12 volts on transmit, which is coming through that little segment there. What I'll probably do down track when I rebuild this, I'll use a 4-pole double throw relay, which will allow me to do away with this one. So half the relay will switch the RF, and the other half will switch the 12 volts between the receiver and the transmit circuitry. So there's nothing else to mention there, no other changes, so just purely adding in this amplifier, adding in the changeover relay for the antenna and the low pass filter, just to make sure things are nice and clean. And my antenna tuning unit here is currently on 30 watts, and I was sort of picking up about sort of 3 there, so if that's 30, then I'm sort of down around that sort of 3 odd watts, so not terribly high, but and I suspect also at QRP that this particular meter is not very accurate at that level. But I had the oscilloscope turned on, ready to go, but I heard that gentleman talking, so I thought I'd sort of jump in on the end and have a quick chat. Anyway, so I'll leave that video there. Apologies that it's all a little bit sort of hectic and the like, but I just thought it'd be an opportunity just to throw it on here. And as I've sort of mentioned in a previous video, the plan now is to have a look at this old amplifier board that came out of an old 1970s radio, and see if I can't do something with it. So the plan is, like I said on a very early video, is to start pulling off all some of the bits, you know, the automatic level control and bits and pieces, and to sort of just strip it back to the pure push-pull amplifiers. There's the driver there, and then the main PA there, and then look to reuse those chips on another amplifier. And what I'll potentially do, I think, is probably look to manufacture or mill another piece of copper board like this, reusing those transistors from the other board in a similar configuration. So that's the plan over the next few weeks, just to slowly look at that. Anyway, I won't ramble on any longer. That was good. And what was also interesting with that particular chat there was the when the audio signal, say again, or my RF signal came up at his end, that the audio quality was good. So that's interesting and good to hear, especially after yesterday's video when we looked at that noise that we were feeding into the microphone, and seeing that the plot on the on using SDR sharp. There were a couple of sort of areas there within the audio passband where it was a bit low, but sounds like that the readability at the received end is good. So what else to say? I think I'll probably leave it there. We'll work on this amplifier, and then what we'll probably do then down track at the very end is look to do some more software engineering where we can add in some other modes and some other functionality. I was playing around with in software you can do a peak read, so you can look at the peak levels coming in, and then you can that gets turned into a number, a peak number, and then you can use that to what I will be doing is looking to use that to vary the gain of the audio coming out. If you recall that those two variables that we can set, and by doing that and having the right bit of code, then we can have our automatic gain control, which would be quite good. And there's really nothing stopping us doing the same thing on transmit, with the audio coming in from the microphone through the microphone lead, again peak reading that, and there's no reason why then we can't change the level coming out to those two grey wires, which will ultimately set the transmit level, so we can have an ALC on that. But we'll see. I do want to play around with this little arrangement here, where I can detect both the forward power and the reflected power, and then maybe use that reflected power to drop down the output power, just to sort of protect the transistors. So that's something which I may look to play around with as well. Anyway, I've been rambling on here for a good 20 minutes, so I think it's time to knock this one on the head. Any questions, sing out. Otherwise, we shall continue tinkering. Cheers all.